In my semester 2 video, I said that my core as an educator is best expressed through the Ontario College of Teachers ethical standards and standards of practice. That for me has not changed. What has changed is my understanding of what it means to actually live that framework in daily practice. My current vision, put succinctly, is this: teaching is the ongoing work of aligning care, trust, respect, and integrity with professional knowledge, practice, leadership, and ongoing learning so that diverse students can participate meaningfully, feel safe and valued, and build understanding over time. This is the message that now guides my choices about curriculum assessment, relationships, communication, and teaching as a whole. In my first DLP entry, I wrote about 3 years as an emergency supply, mostly delivering worksheets and managing behavior. Alongside that were nearly 15 years as a music and theater teacher and as a children's librarian, working with learners from preschool to teens. I loved building relationships, creating performances, and putting stories and experiences into children's hands. For a long time, everything I knew about working with kids came from watching what happened in real time and adjusting my techniques. I had no sense of how much there is to the work of teaching in a classroom. I came to Ontario Tech with a deep love of working with children and a strong sense of what engagement felt like in a studio, theater, or library, but without much depth of understanding about classroom management, assessment, ways of learning, or curriculum design. These are the things I've begun to develop through my many foundations classes. My courses at Ontario Tech have given me a fuller picture of what teaching can be. I now think about learning as something students actively do. They connect new ideas to what they already know, try things out, talk it through, and revise their thinking. That's why I value learning structures that center inquiry, dialogue, and collaboration around meaningful ideas. I've also learned concrete ways to plan for difference, universal design for learning, and differentiated instruction push me to offer multiple ways to enter a task, participate, and show understanding. Assessment for and as learning has helped me see feedback as part of the learning process instead of something that only happens at the end. Each course has added another layer to my pedagogical mosaic. Work on integrated curriculum has made me want to connect ideas across subjects. Classroom management work has shifted my focus from getting through the day to building clear and respectful routines. Learning about Indigenous perspectives in outdoor learning has made me more intentional about including talking circles, attention to land, and time outside as regular parts of learning. All of this now sits alongside the OCT standards and starts to give my vision some real shape. As a teacher, I need to be honest about my own bias. I went through school in the 1990s in fairly traditional classrooms, and I learned quickly what teachers wanted. Be quiet, finish your work fast, stay in your seat, and keep your written tasks neat. But when I think about my primary years, I remember being a very hands on learner. I wanted to move, sing, and run. I often think about how much approaches like inquiry, UDL, outdoor learning, and more responsive pedagogy would have helped me if I had experienced them as a child. This history means I have to watch myself. If I'm not careful, I can default to seeing the quiet, fast written student as the ideal and misread movement, talk, or play as a problem instead of a way of learning. There are also real limits to my vision because of my experience. Despite many years of working with children and families, I've had limited time as a regular classroom teacher. I'm still learning how to translate what I know about pedagogy, curriculum, and relationships into daily routines, assessment, and planning. This means I'll need to lean on colleagues and mentors. I expect to ask a lot of questions, borrow structures that work, and keep adjusting as I see how students respond. I will make mistakes, but my commitment is to keep reflecting, listening to students and peers, and slowly closing the gap between the vision I've described and what I can actually do in the classroom. To set achievable goals, I'm circling back to the OCT standards. I will make it a priority for my students to feel known, safe, and represented in our classroom. That means learning who they are, choosing texts and examples that reflect different identities and experiences, and paying attention to whose voices are being heard. I will also work to build respectful, trusting relationships with families, communicating clearly, assuming care underneath concern, and following through on what I say I will do. For me, this is how care, trust, respect, and integrity start to show up in everyday practice. My second goal connects to professional knowledge and professional practice. I will know the curriculums for the grades that I teach, and I will plan with my actual students in mind. My aim is to use clear learning goals and success criteria and to draw regularly on strategies like UDL, differentiation, inquiry, and formative assessment so that my students can access the learning and show what they know in different ways. My final goal is to continue to grow, which connects to leadership and learning communities and ongoing professional learning in the OCT standards. I will treat my first years as the start of a long professional journey, continuing to learn through courses, workshops, reading, and by talking with my colleagues and being open to feedback from students and families. I want to keep checking my assumptions, updating my practice, and contributing to a learning community that is always trying to do better for the kids.